Yeah, everything is ready, Master.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. First of all, today I'd like to on behalf of all of us, share our condolences to Shannon and to Nu, because Shannon just lost her mother, Catherine, and Nu just recently lost her brother. So our heartfelt condolences goes to them. We take good care of them and hopefully try to get them to the Pure Land as soon as possible. That you have my word. Okay, today also we have some announcements. I think Sarah is ready to make the announcement, am I correct? She's the announcer. Yes? It's about the Pure Land Handbook, number 1. Usually, number 1 in English, I believe, is in numeral 1, not regular 1 here. That numeral 1 from the Roman numeral. Thank you. And that's our tradition. But for the Koreans, it might be different. They don't have that Roman numeral tradition. For them, 1 and Roman numeral 1 are the same. Okay. Look at this, huh? Look at this. You like the Pure Land Handbook number 1 in Korean? That's what it's going to look like. Yeah? As first of all, it's translated by our So Young. I call her So Old. Oh God, she's a lot older than she likes to think. They're so old, and she did really a good job. She spent so much time working with us. This is what it takes. This Pure Land Buddhism is it sounds simple, but actually is based on very profound principles that very sound Mahayana principles. Pure Land Buddhism is Mahayana Buddhism. So therefore, So Young had to work with very closely with us. And to do the proper translation. Actually, credit should be granted where it's due. Actually, she caught a few of the inaccuracies in our English Pure Land Handbook as well. Yes? So Old really did an excellent job, and she took a long time to do that. We're very grateful. A good start for Korean Pure Land Buddhism. So, good job, So Old. Huh? We thank you. It's a lot of pain and suffering for her to go through this process. And not only did she have to struggle with her own personal demons, she also had to work with our manic people as well. So, it's double jeopardy for all involved. And that's the way it is with us. It's never easy. Everything we do is not that easy. Perhaps because the standards are so high. Okay? So I'm very pleased with this thing here, because based on the question that she asked us, I believe that she's so thorough and so accurate in her translation, because the questions she asked in Chinese are very, 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 very good. Your questions, the questions told me the level of accuracy of the comprehension, level of comprehension. Okay, so I think there's more slides in this. So this is from a press release. Who wrote this press release, by the way? Anyone knows?
I'm not sure exactly who did, but the publisher, Unjusa, they're the one who reviewed this book.
So from the publisher, it says, Pure Land Buddhism became well known by great master Won Hyo. Do we have a photo of him? See, I listen to you differently. I look at people first before I listen to what they have to say. Okay, so show me a picture so that I know what kind of person which level this person is before I take whatever you say seriously. Okay. In a way, that's why people don't want to come and see me, because I can look at them and say, you shouldn't be talking about this. Or I won't even bother answering your question, because it's a stupid question. Even if I explain it to you, you won't be able to understand it anyway. So why should I waste my time explaining to you? Okay, so Master Won Hyo historically has been a long tradition of practicing Chan and Pure Land in parallel. Okay, Shuang Xiu. So in Korea, is it true in Korea that do you know, the Sunims know, the Koreans, do you know that there's a tradition of parallel practice of Pure Land and Chan? In Korea? I'm curious, because if you talk about Pure Land and Chan practice, that means you must be able to understand both Pure Land and master Chan as well. Otherwise, it couldn't be one way or the other. You understand? You cannot say it's the same. Okay? So, if like in the Koreans later, Master, what is it? Master Sung Chol, he advocated Son, Chan. So no Pure Land at all. So it looks like this. The picture of Mahayana looks like this. You understand? And then Master Chung Hua advocated Pure Land only and very little Chan. So now the Mahayana that's presented looks like this. More Pure Land on this side and little Son on this side. And the other master is primarily Son or Chan and no Pure Land at all. Okay, so that's what's contained in the principles of Buddhism that's being taught. Okay, so when you say Chan and Pure Land parallel, has to be like this, meaning Chan and Pure Land has to be at the same level. Meaning what? Either it's very low, so that it has to be the same level, or it's very high, so that everything can be considered the same level. Okay? My point being that you don't want to say you practice Chan, Pure Land parallel unless either you won't become enlightened, you won't go to the Pure Land at all, that's in parallel. Does it make sense to you? That's why it's called parallel. It's called fairness. Okay? You won't make it. So that's why we practice Chan, Pure Land in parallel. We agree? Or you make it. You become enlightened. Huh? And you go to the Pure Land. Then it's parallel. Otherwise you say, I become enlightened, and you and I maybe I go to the Pure Land, then it's not really equal. Yes? And if you say, I only go to the Pure Land, I don't practice Chan, then what are the chances of going to the Pure Land? Very small, because you don't know how to enter the Samadhi. Okay? If you really understand how to recite the Buddha's name, you never dare say that I only practice Pure Land, I don't practice Chan. Similarly, you really understand Chan, you never say, I only practice Chan, I don't do Pure Land. That's stupidity. I'm guilty of that, by the way. I was guilty of that. I said, when I first started, I said, Chan, I love Chan. Never mind about Pure Land. Besides, Master Hsuan Hua's teaching of Pure Land is so scattered, it's so unclear. It's only in the Chinese part that's not translated. Maybe because it's spread out all over, and maybe because it's very difficult to spot, or even if it's spotted by his disciples, they said, "No, this is we can't explain this. We can't justify this. That's why people's not going to believe it. So that's it. Avoid translating this, okay, into English, into Vietnamese, into Espanol, and all those things, okay. But actually, Master Hsuan Hua's Pure Land teaching has pretty advanced part. That's not typical of the Chinese Pure Land teachings at all, okay. So that's why that's why he's not even recognized as a Pure Land patriarch yet by the Chinese, because they don't understand, the Chinese don't understand the level, the height and the depth of his teachings. Anyway, it's a Chinese thing. Okay, we are American. Was it Vietnamese or American? I forget. More American than Vietnamese. Okay. So our Pure Land actually is in parallel with Chan, because you can become enlightened through the Wei Yang Pure Land. You can become also enlightened through American Pure Land as well, or you can go to the Pure Land without being enlightened as well. Okay, and that's why it's complete Pure Land Buddhism. Because Pure Land Buddhism, you're supposed to be also be able to become enlightened as well, not just go to the Pure Land. The way that the Chinese do it nowadays, they only hope, they tell each other, let's hope we go to the Pure Land. That's what the Asian Pure Land Buddhism is, okay? American Buddhism, Pure Land Buddhism, we expect to become enlightened with reciting Buddha's name. Actually, it's very advanced Dharma door, or we can go to the Pure Land if we don't make it. Okay? So that's why it's truly Chan and Pure Land parallel practice. Okay? Which you could not find too many teachers who are doing that. Master Hsuan Hua is the last teacher who did that. I don't think the second patriarch is capable of doing that. Okay, so anyway, I hope I'm proven wrong. But maybe when he dies or something. Oh, that's him. Well, he doesn't look very happy, does he? It's a drawing, not a photo, right? Yes?
Master, it's a drawing, and then he's, I don't know what year, but he's really, I don't know, is it like year 500? There's no photo at the time. So we're not even sure how accurate this drawing is.
Okay, but it's a nice drawing. Thank you. Good research. So what's the Chinese name for what is the Chinese characters? The nice thing about Pure Land Buddhism, it really has no lineages, if you will. That's the difference between Pure Land Buddhism versus Chan. Chan has a clear lineage. You belong to the lineage or not. So the teaching is verified to be proper. Whereas Pure Land Buddhism is only recognized later after they die. And so that's why, honestly speaking, you require a lot more blessings to be able to make it, because you don't know one from the other. Okay, as I explain to you more as we go along, that basically, I don't like Asian Buddhism, Pure Land Buddhism at all. I feel that it's becoming superstition, Asian Pure Land Buddhism. Okay, and you can see that the one thing you can recognize that the way the Asian practice Pure Land Buddhism is that they have an attitude. You notice that? These people say, I belong to this Pure Land group. I recite Buddha's name only. Okay. I know more about this than you. My master is more famous than you. Okay. If you really understand Pure Land Buddhism, you should be more humble. Because, you know why is that? Because can you imagine Amitabha Buddha? You look at Amitabha Buddha and you say, you know, I came from Master so-and-so. Okay? I practice with him. Amitabha, him? Really? Get out of here. We don't allow arrogant people into the Pure Land. You realize that? Huh? These arrogant people are going to create chaos in the Pure Land. Because in the Pure Land, there's so many sages over there. How dare you walk around thinking, I'm so special, I'm so much better than you, my master is so-and-so. Their teachers are nobodies in the Pure Land at all. Their teachers would be like, deserve to be janitors in the Pure Land. Seriously. So what's there to be proud of? If you you're a janitor in the Pure Land, your level is a janitor in the Pure Land, would you dare teach your disciples to be arrogant? Really? Well, let me rephrase that. If you're high, you would not dare teach your disciples to be arrogant because you lose face when they get to the Pure Land. However, since you're a janitor, you don't know better. That's why you never pay attention to the attitude of your students. They go to the Pure Land and they don't realize they bring embarrassment to your name if they make it at all. You understand? Amitabha Buddha, Guanyin Bodhisattva, Great Strength Bodhisattva, and all the sages over there, there's just boundless, countless sages in the Pure Land. They look at them, newcomers, and say, really? You have such a bad attitude. What are you doing here? Go to prison. You don't belong here. You should be in prison for a while to change your attitude, teach you a lesson about respectfulness. Okay, next, number 4. As Korea progressed through the Japanese rule and liberation from Japan, what year is that? 1945, I say. Second World War ended, 1945. Okay, so that's when it ended. And then 1956, North Korea invaded South Korea or something like that. Okay, so in 1940s, so they free from Japan and to praise the Son practice and downgrade the Pure Land practice. Okay, that's shows that these people don't understand Pure Land at all. They have no results. And the belief has been covertly passed down to the present era. Is not well known, not as well known as China, Taiwan, Japan. Well, let me put it this way. The Chinese have a lot of Pure Land patriarchs, so yes, it's very strong there. Taiwanese have very good teachers. I think of one, Tzu Han, who is the 7th Crown Bodhisattva. At that level, he should begin to appreciate Pure Land more. Below that, I don't expect the Chan master to appreciate Pure Land Buddhism at all, by the way. You can tell right away that when the Chan master says, I only practice Chan, I don't teach Pure Land, the level is not high enough to comprehend the power or superiority of Pure Land Buddhism. So Tzu Han in Taipei, he's a 7th Crown Bodhisattva, fat monk, very unusual. That's why it's 7th ground Bodhisattva. Maybe at that level they begin to appreciate it. He still doesn't get it, but okay. So Taiwan, so it has better roots for Pure Land Buddhism. Okay, but it's the same kind of trend nowadays. The Taiwanese are leaning more on the Chan, and Pure Land is becoming superstition. They just believe each other, you know, and nonsense. And Japan, I don't know much about Japan Pure Land Buddhism, except it's believed by many queens and emperors and wives and concubines of the feudal lords and the shogun and so forth. So it's strong in Japan, but I don't like Japanese Buddhism in general because it's subservient to royalty, Japanese royalty. If you really have Buddhism, I used to respect the Zen masters like, who is it? Dogen, maybe? The guy who's a Japanese monk who built Eihiji. 7th.
Yeah, that is Dogen.
Dogen. Okay. That guy has spine because he refused to kowtow to the emperor. Okay. A lot of Japanese monks kowtow to the shoguns and the emperors in order to get their support. What are you doing asking support from emperors or from lay people? Don't you understand? If the lay people, the emperor, don't support you, it's their loss, not your loss. What are you talking about? Seriously, you don't understand Buddhism at all. Okay? The great emperors, Chinese emperors, okay, they supported Buddhism because they know it's to their benefit and to their children's benefit. That's why the great emperors in China who supported Buddhism, like in the Tang dynasty, that dynasty there lasted for a few centuries because the emperors were strong supporters of Buddhism. Whereas the other Chinese emperors who didn't support Buddhism or even attack and ostracize Buddhism, they didn't last very long, did they? Isn't it clear, historically speaking? So what are you doing? Kowtowing to the emperors. Okay, so that's what I don't like about Japanese Buddhism. They have that tradition, whereas the Chinese, it's much cleaner tradition when it said, no, you are emperor, I am a monk. Okay, so it's a dual system. That's why it has to come here to the U.S. where actually we have separation from church and state. You state do your own things and we do our things. Okay, so that's why this land here is appropriate for to inherit the Chinese Buddhism, because now Chinese Buddhism is under the control of the state. It's not gonna. We don't tolerate it. Okay, we don't survive in that kind of environment. So, because how can politicians run Buddhism? That's not possible. Okay. So that's why I'm less enthused about Japanese Buddhism the more I look at it. So Dogen used to be, he built Eihiji, the biggest temple there, in Chan temple there. He have a strong tradition. He's enlightened, clearly, from his teaching. Not very high level, but he's enlightened. And you see, enlightened people would not kowtow to lay people. Isn't it clear to you? Why would you kowtow to idiots? Seriously, if you're enlightened. So, if you see a monk and a nun who kowtow to lay people, run. Don't waste your time. However, the interest in Pure Land Buddhism is gradually increasing in Korea, it means. In this circumstance, it's truly meaningful to introduce a book that systematically explains Pure Land Buddhism. Next, this book describes the overall contents and cultivation methods of Pure Land Buddhism and uses languages that's easy to understand. Yes, it's the introduction. The book provides specific and systematic, it's repetitive here, on Pure Land Buddhism, including basic concept of Pure Land Buddhism, and how to practice reciting Buddha's name. Okay. Introduction, this long, really? And chant pure parallel practice. Okay, now, can we agree on something here? In the US, we don't like to use the word parallel practice anymore because we don't want this, because the Tibetans have this parallel practice that we don't disapprove of, where it's not good for Buddhism at all. It's very difficult for people to become enlightened when you practice their parallel practice. I don't see how they can become enlightened at all, to be honest with you. But it's none of my business. Okay? I'm not Tibetan. I have no interest. Okay? So parallel practice in English, let's avoid this term because it's being corrupted by the Tibetans. Okay? If I were Tibetan, if I were the Dalai Lama and those future Dalai Lamas, I would hope that the next Dalai Lama will take a stand and say, this Pure Land, this parallel practice that's being advocated by a Tibetan sect is incorrect Buddhism. It's not going to bring enlightenment to you. It's the spiritual leaders who must take a stand. Okay? I'm taking a stand because I'm a nobody, but someone has to take a stand, okay, and make noises because second patriarch is not taking a stand. If Master Srinhua, if we were alive, I would ask him that question. Do you think that Tibetan Pure Land, Tibetan parallel practice is proper? I would dare ask him that question. I expect his answer to be no. Okay? Okay, so that's called Chan and Pure Land joint practice to avoid the word parallel. Yes, joint practice. All right? Is it joint or parallel? I don't know. You Chinese people check the Tibetan thing, whatever that sect calls that joint, men and women, parallel practice. Is it parallel or joint? Oh no, they call it joint, I think. Someone helps me. It's been a while. Whatever the Tibetan use, either joint, and then we use parallel. When they use parallel, we use joint. Okay. I reject, personally, I reject that Tibetan form of practice. I don't care what Dalai Lama has to say about it even. And how to cope with death. Yes, death is something that even the monks and nuns don't know much about. Okay? And that's why, for example, you can tell. You can tell people who don't understand death at all. You can tell that people would recommend you should go to the heavens. Right? There's a proof they don't understand. If you go to the heavens, it's wonderful. However, you'll be stuck there for billions of years. You go to the Christian heaven, Catholic heaven, you'll be stuck there how many years? Lifespan is 9.4 billion years compared to ours. Human years. You'll be stuck there. You live there for 9 billion years, and after that, you fall. You will not be able to ascend higher. Okay? Most of you. Okay? So, because for 9 billion years, you enjoy too much. Therefore, you exhaust your heavenly blessings very quickly. All right. So that's why these people, they will fall Besides, they're being attacked by the asuras constantly. The asuras are watching them day and night, and plus the heavenly demons are assisting the asuras as well. That's why that God, King, has to come to Shakmini Buddha to ask for help. He couldn't handle it. If you have the heavenly demons have you in their crosshairs, you're not going to do well. Okay, and only in Mahayana do we know more about what happens after you die. In particular, we teach you only enough for you to navigate through this time, this transition period that happens during the 49 days after you die. That's Mahayana knowledge. Okay. So, all right. So, hey, that's it. Any questions or comments? Why are we doing this? We're doing this because I have affinities with the Koreans. I like them because they're respectful. You're not respectful, don't expect to be able to go to the Pure Land. Trust me. You can't even be respectful. Who's going to help you? So we help you go to the Pure Land because you can't make it on your own. And then you are not respectful for that kind of dharma that saves your skin. Then why should we help you? We're not talking about faith yet. I'm just talking about simple, proper etiquette. How can you, someone is helping you and you're not respectful. Why should they help you? Seriously. Is that the attitude you have? Okay, then go somewhere else. Seriously. And you imagine you have the attitude, the problem with having a bad attitude is it carries through when you die, after you die. And when you see Amitabha Buddha and you have the same attitude, I'm doing you a favor going to your Pure Land, you hear? Amitabha, thank you so much, I'm so grateful you're coming to my Pure Land. We appreciate you. All the sages that will be so excited you're coming to join them. That's a big picture, folks. Huh? You understand? The teacher don't dare tell them that because they don't know what happens. How dare you go to the Pure Land with a bad attitude, an arrogant attitude? Well, you're an idiot and you're surrounded and you sit next to the sages, a bodhisattva who's meditating, is reciting Buddha's name. He says, I'm better than you. Give me more room. Why would Amitabha bring you in and cause that kind of problems for the residents? Maybe bring you to their prison, yeah, but certainly not the good neighborhoods. Make sense? Don't blame me. I told you. When you go there, you happen to go there and you find yourself in prison and say, Master Yunghua did tell me, did warn me that I have a bad attitude. I need some attitude adjustment first before I can join the general population. Make sense? Okay, so I like the Korean in that they have proper protocol. Yes, they look down upon me because I'm not Korean. I know that. Okay? But they want to see the results of our Dharma. They believe very quickly. Results in what? Sitting in meditation, you see results very quickly. Okay? And they're depressed, they get help very quickly. It's funny, I used to have a disciple who got an abortion, and she's depressed like crazy. And he came to me, and then I said, well, that we need to take care of your aborted child. So we took care of the aborted child. Immediately, the depression went away. Okay, that's about results. Okay, so the Koreans, they pick it up very fast because they see results, and that's why they're respectful. Okay, so they have a lot of. I don't mind. I don't think that I have any problems. A lot of problems helping them go to the Pure Land at all. So I'm very excited about the publisher, over there in Korea. Deciding to work with us, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for So Old to help translate, to set the standards, okay, for the jargon, our jargon, but understand that this is quite different from Asian Pure Land Buddhism. This is American Pure Land Buddhism. We are much more comprehensive than the Chinese Pure Land Buddhism. And guess what? Truth is that after Master Hsuan Hua is gone, we are picking it up because they're not doing it. His disciples are not doing it, so we have to do it. Okay, and I have the green light from him a few months ago to go ahead and teach. Okay, we started something like 6 months ago, yes, with this translation. So things are happening. Okay, we started translating this maybe like several months ago.
This one, Pure Land Handbook.
Yeah.
1 year.
1 year? Took 1 year? A year ago, we just translated. We didn't know that it would be published at all. And a few months ago, we worked with this publisher here. He decided to take a chance with us, and so things are happening. It's a good thing, and I'm very excited about this opportunity that we're gonna. He also agreed. He's also interested in translating the Chan Handbook 1 and Chan Handbook 2 as well into Korean, so that we're gonna have truly Chan and Pure Land in parallel. I think parallel is the word we use, not joint. Joint is Tibetan. Good Lord. So in parallel, so that's what we're gonna do in Korea, and so I hope more of you Sunims will become enlightened. Okay, so that you can understand more about Son and about Pure Land Buddhism. In particular, I challenge you young Sunims, third generation of Weiyang, because that's what we do. I'm teaching you, I'm transmitted to you the Weiyang training tradition to the third generation, and I intend to pass all of my knowledge when possible, okay, to you, so that you'll be stronger than my generation under Master Hsuan Hua. Okay, that's my attitude. You need to bring something more to the table, otherwise you just me too. So what's the point? Who needs you? But I challenge you, Sunims, to apply yourselves. Timing off is of the essence. Apply yourself so that Why don't you set a goal for yourself
给自己一
to
个目
exceed
标，定立一个目标，
Sungcho Sunim's level? How's
可
that?
以超越松彻。
That's my attitude. Okay.
信彻大师的
I
程
feel
度
it's feasible.
好不好？
I feel, for
我觉得是可
example,
以的。
my
我
disciples
的弟子们呢，
will not be able to reach Master Shenhua's
没
level,
有办法
but they
能够
certainly
达到宣化大
have
人的程度。
proven they can
但是
exceed
呢，
his disciples' levels already.
但是已经
And I
证
want
明
them
了
to
他可以
continue
超越他的
to
弟子
put
们。
more distance between them
我
and
要他们继
and
续
them
努力，
and my disciples and his disciples.
再把
That's
这个
my
拉
contribution
距
to put
距离拉
to
远。
Buddhism. I'm much lower Master Shenhua, to be honest with you.
我比宣化
I
上
don't
人
expect to
的
be
程
able
度
to
低
catch
很
up with
多
him.
我不
He's
觉得
too
我可以
far
赶
ahead
上
of me.
他，
Okay.
他
But
是非远
I
远
feel
超越于
his
我。
disciples
但是呢，
haven't
我
learned
觉
much
得
from him at all.
他的弟子
So
们并没
it's
有
not that
跟
hard
他
to
学
beat
到
them.
太多，
Okay.
并不是太
So
难
same
可以
thing
超越
for
他
you
们。
Korean
所
Sunims.
以你们
My
的
attitude
韩国
my
的弟子
attitude
们
has always been let the
韩国的
Vietnamese
信呢
teach the Vietnamese, let the Koreans teach the Koreans, Chinese teach the
这个
Chinese, Taiwanese teach the
越南
Taiwanese. Okay, I have
这个
no
越南
business
人教
teaching the
越南
Taiwanese nor the Koreans.
然后
Okay,
这个韩国
what
人
I
教
do is I
韩国人
train
台
you
湾人
so
教
that
台
you
湾人
teach your
但
own
是
kind.
中国人教中国人，
Okay,
你们
so-
都要教你们自己
and
的。
I repeat,
所以
my interest
我
is
的
for you to be better
兴趣呢
than
是要呢，
the previous Sunims.
你们比以前的使命呢，
Okay?
都要你们能够超越他们，这是我对你
You
给你们的期许。
Here in the U.S. are better than the Weiyang
美国的
people in
使命
China
呢
already.
已经
That's
比
why
这个中
Weiyang
国
is
的
here in
维
the
扬
U.S.
呢
You go to
的
China,
人呢
you have to
已经
find
超越
Weiyang
他们了。
patriarchs there, teachers there,
提
but
到中国呢，
they're
是有
well
维扬
hidden.
的是
But even if you
教导
find them, you
但
will
是你就算找到他们
be as well trained as in the U.S.
他们受的训练呢，不会
Okay,
像在美
same thing.
国这样子
You
受
Korean
训
Sunims, you should
所以你们韩国的使命
you
呢
should be
你们应
reach
该要
higher levels than
达到更高的程
than
度，
Sung Cho and those
像比这个信彻大师呢，
Zhonghua
或
Sunim,
者是
Sung Cho
这
Sunim,
个
so forth.
中华
That's very
大
feasible.
师呢，
Okay, and do it quickly so that I can retire quickly.
让我可以
Okay,
快点达到，所以让我
that's
可以
me. I'm
早
very
点退休，
impatient
因为我已经开始不耐烦了，
and lazy.
而且懒惰了。
I look forward to retirement.
我已经很希望能够
Okay,
退休了，
unlike the Buddhas, I like to retire.
不像是佛跟佛菩萨们，我想要退休。
Questions or comments? Okay, then let's do the lunch offering. Thank you all.
没有任何问题，我们就做武功，谢谢大家。